Yesterday, on a sunny afternoon in one of London's busiest parks, locals witnessed a scene that, far from inspiring respect or confidence in the authorities, sparked second-hand embarrassment. What was supposed to be a display of professionalism by the Metropolitan Police turned into a ridiculous spectacle that left much to be desired. The officer in question seemed more concerned with portraying an inclusive image than with firmly carrying out their role as a figure of authority. They appeared before the public dressed in a way that looked more like a diversity campaign mascot than a representative of an institution tasked with upholding law and order. This wasn't just about wearing a different uniform or making a symbolic gesture. It was a walking caricature, a decorative figure more interested in pleasing certain political sectors than fulfilling their actual duty. And this wasn't an isolated incident. For years now, the Met has been at the center of controversy due to its questionable decisions, repeatedly accused of prioritizing political correctness, public relations, and institutional activism, all while violent crime, theft, and insecurity spiral out of control on the streets. As officers focus on image campaigns and symbolic events, more and more citizens feel abandoned by those who are supposed to protect them. What happened yesterday only deepened that perception. Instead of witnessing a demonstration of skill, strategy, or rigorous training, the public was treated to a pitiful scene. An awkward attempt to perform a basic physical routine, executed without strength or conviction, ending in laughter from the onlookers themselves. If the goal was to show a prepared police force, the result achieved was the exact opposite. What was once a respected force known for its discipline, neutrality, and effectiveness now resembles a PR agency with badges. Instead of powerful patrols, we see parades of polite manners. Instead of firmness in the face of crime, we get symbolic gestures aimed at scoring points with influencers from Westminster or social media. And perhaps the most worrying part is that these episodes don't just hurt the police's image. They erode public trust. How can we expect a young person to respect a figure who seems more concerned about their social media profile than public order? How can we demand obedience when officers are seen as actors in a performative show with no real authority? As violent crime rates continue to rise and vulnerable neighborhoods feel increasingly unprotected, the Met chooses to invest time and resources in events like this. There's no clear strategy, no strong leadership, and certainly no connection to how everyday citizens truly feel. What remains is an institutional void masked by good intentions and empty gestures. Gestures that don't stop criminals, but do frustrate taxpayers who expect real results. Now, before we dive deeper into the analysis, I want you to watch the full video. See for yourself the moment that sparked so much backlash, and let me know what you think. But first, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What comes next is going to make you think. Did you see that? Hard to believe, right? What we just witnessed isn't some isolated incident. It's a worrying sign of the direction the London police force is heading. And the most alarming part isn't the failed physical attempt or the laughter it provoked. The real issue is what it symbolizes: a disoriented force, more interested in pleasing than commanding respect. What was once a uniform that stood for order and authority now looks more like a PR tool designed by a marketing committee. Gone are the days when officers were recognized for their composure under pressure, their ability to respond swiftly, or their connection to the community based on action, not appearances. Cases are increasingly common, where officers are deployed to fairs, festivals, and symbolic events that have little or nothing to do with actual crime fighting. Meanwhile, residents in areas like Croydon, Barking, or Tottenham report, with growing frustration, that police response to robberies, assaults, or vandalism is slower than ever, or doesn't happen at all. And yes, it's perfectly valid to talk about inclusion, representation, and community engagement. But all of that becomes meaningless when it's used as an excuse to avoid the discomfort of doing the hard work. The problem isn't that the police are evolving, it's that they're doing so at the cost of becoming irrelevant in the face of real danger. What happened in the park was a living metaphor for this trend. Image was prioritized over competence. And worse still, this isn't just the fault of police leadership, but part of a wider political chain that has pushed institutions to become ideological showcases, where the top priority is not to offend, even if that means not taking action. Think about it. When was the last time you saw the British police take decisive control of a critical situation without worrying about how it would look on Twitter the next day? Today, it seems their greatest fear isn't organized crime, gangs, or traffickers. It's bad press. We live in an age where the police fear public backlash more than operational failure. And that mindset trickles down. New recruits are no longer being trained to withstand the pressure of a dangerous raid or to handle high-risk situations. No, they're trained to look right, to speak softly, to avoid controversy at all costs. As if crime somehow respects pronouns and ideological sensitivities. That's why, when incidents like yesterday's occur, the public no longer reacts with shock, just resignation. No one expects the police to solve problems anymore. They just hope they won't embarrass themselves. That's the new standard for performance. As long as they don't become a meme, everything's fine. But let me ask you this. Is that really the level we're willing to accept? A centuries-old institution, reduced to a PR mannequin? Because if we stay on this path, we'll soon have a security force perfectly trained to make TikToks, not to save lives. And this isn't about empty nostalgia or reactionary criticism. No one is calling for a return to the brutal methods of the past, nor blindly defending a system that had its own flaws. But there's a difference between evolving and betraying the very purpose of policing: to ensure safety, uphold the law, and protect ordinary citizens from those who break it. When that mission is sacrificed just to win headlines or please today's influencers, we've lost our way. The current situation makes one thing painfully clear. There is a deep disconnect between what people expect and what institutions are delivering. While citizens face daily assaults, knife crime, and increasingly sophisticated criminal networks, the official response seems focused on pleasing ideological lobbies and communication strategists. And the most serious consequence of this failed model isn't just damage to the Met's image. It's the danger posed to the officers themselves. Because the moment they stop being respected, not for being popular, but for being effective, they will also stop being feared by criminals. And when a criminal no longer fears the police, chaos is the next step. The warning signs are already there. Just look at how assaults on on-duty officers have increased. Many of these attacks aren't carried out by organized crime, but are the result of the impunity that has taken root from seeing a police force more concerned with not offending than with taking action. A dangerous door has been opened, the door of institutional contempt. And once crossed, it's very hard to close again. What authority can restore order after it has surrendered its dignity for fear of public backlash? How can respect be regained when every mistake is minimized with bureaucratic excuses, and every failure justified as part of some inclusive transformation process? There's no simple answer, but one thing is certain. What we saw at Ide in the park was a symptom, not an exception. The official narrative keeps insisting that everything is under control, that modernizing the force is a positive step, that new community-based approaches are bringing citizens and police closer together. But numbers don't lie, and more importantly, public perception doesn't either. Respect isn't earned through colorful banners or image campaigns. It's earned on the streets, through real presence, results, and efficiency. That's why, when citizens witness these caricature-like displays at public events, they don't feel reassured. They feel more vulnerable. Because they instinctively understand that if the institution's focus is on being liked, then its capacity to act has been pushed to the background. If you agree that it's time to bring back a police force that commands respect and acts with real authority, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your comment below. We want to hear your thoughts and build a community that doesn't settle for empty rhetoric. Share this video if you think more people need to wake up to what's really happening. See you in the next one.